So let us start with a prayer. Before we do anything, we have to give thanks to God.
Okay.
And we say, Abba, Father, I thank you for giving us this day to study your word. I pray and I ask that you would open our spiritual mind, you open our spiritual heart, you open our spiritual eyes to see the truth of your word. Abba, Father, I pray and ask of this through your beloved Son, Yeshua, who reigns with you, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
What is happening?
No, maybe because we are too close, and I've called them, but at the moment their salvation means very little to them until they see the floods coming. So we say a prayer and finish. Abba, Father, we thank you for this day and giving us the opportunity to go through your word in various ways. We thank for the edification and the enlightenment that we have received. We go on to pray that you will continue to bless us, to open our eyes, spiritual eyes, to open our spiritual mind, to open our spiritual heart to receive your word. I pray and ask of this through your beloved Son Yeshua, who reigns with you, one God. Is what it says in the book. That is what God ordained. But what these Pharisees and the men were doing was, when someone is caught in adultery, they were only punishing the woman and let the man go free. So when the woman was brought to Christ, when she was caught in adultery, Christ was referring them to what was written in the book. He was telling them, where is the man as well? If you want to stone this woman to death, where is the man in the participation of all this?
Why only me?
Yes. So that's why he has to refer them to what is written in the book. And he said to them, let any man without sin cast the first stone. And because the men knew that what they've done was wrong, not a single one of them was able to cast the first stone. And one by one, they all dropped their stone and went away. And it was left with the woman and Christ. And Christ said to the woman, where are the people who were condemning you? And she said, there was none. So Christ also said, he does not condemn her. But he gave her a very strict warning before she let her go. She goes, go and do it no more. Okay. But somehow in the Christian world, people have seen it as an opportunity to go and practice these things. No. Because Christ did not condemn her, people assume that the gate has opened for people to be able to go and commit adultery. No. His warning was, what you have done is wrong, but because the men could not condemn you because they did not bring the man along for you and the man to be stoned to death together, therefore he, Christ, cannot condemn her. But
only one person.
Only one person, but she
and not the other.
Yeah, but she gave her a very strict warning that she should go and do it no more. But unfortunately, in our Christian world, we see that opportunity as a license to go and practice adultery, which God hates. God hates it so, so much. But unfortunately, our people in our modern world see what Christ did as a license for them to go and practice adultery, which God despised. So, at this stage, if you have anything to add to what I've just said?
No, I thought that when Jesus,
Mhm.
they were going to stone, as I think that was Eva, wasn't it?
That's supposed to be the law.
Yeah,
That was the law.
that was Eva,
Yeah.
and they were going to stone her,
Yeah.
but there was women's men as well with the
No,
stones.
no, it
No,
was only men.
only men.
Only men. Not a single woman pick up a stone to stone her.
No, but the women were there, were
The
not?
women were there. Yes, the women were there. The women were there with their presence, but
Yeah,
not a single woman was eager like the men who wanted to stone her to death.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So he said, "Woman, go away,
Yeah.
but do it no more."
Do it no more, because such practices does not please God. But what people have used that opportunity as is that because Christ did not condemn her, a lot of women see this as an opportunity
Mm.
to go and practice what God told the woman not to go and do anymore.
And she followed him everywhere.
And she became Christ's follower. Yes. So these are practices that is still going on even today. From over 2,000 years ago, you think we would have learned something from that incident and stopped practicing this kind of behavior. But unfortunately, it has become like epidemic in modern society. And often people will misquote, or those practicing it will misquote and say, you see, Christ did not stone the woman. Therefore, he's given us the license to go and practice this behavior. But that was not what Christ meant. Christ gave that woman a very, very strict warning and said, I do not condemn you, because the man was not brought along for you and the man to be stoned to death.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, go and do it no more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is not a license for us to be practicing. Then in our modern day churches, you have pastors, wives sleeping with church members, sleeping with their congregation members, and the church members are doing likewise. This is something God hates.
Mm.
God hates it so, so much. So in Revelation chapter 21, verse 8, God says he will punish all those who practice this sort of behavior. And that will not be your first punishment. It is going to be your second punishment and your second death. So when Christ comes, he's going to raise us all to life. And those who are practicing this behavior, he's going to send them to the lake of fire, where you're going to be burning it in eternity for that behavior, which is going to be your second death. And because we are not afraid, we are still practicing this kind of behavior. It's like, oh, I'm going to do it. There's nothing God can do to me.
Mm.
Yeah. But
They said they know more than God.
that's possibility. Or when you are not afraid of God, you tend to do things that pleases you rather than do things that pleases God.
Mm.
Unfortunately, we are not on this planet to be doing things that pleases us. We are here to do things that pleases God. That is the sole purpose He put us on this planet, to do things that pleases Him. Then sometimes we cross the line which we should not be crossing, and doing things that pleases us rather than doing things that pleases God. Yeah, because at the end of our life will come judgment. And when the judgment comes, God is going to play you like a video of your whole life. You're going to witness your whole life video being played in front of you, because God has appointed an angel for each one of us to be documenting whatever we have been doing throughout our whole life. So when each and every one of us life come to an end, with that come judgment. And this video of your whole life is going to be played in front of you. And at the end of the day, God is going to ask you, when you look back on your whole life video, He's going to ask you, are you guilty or not guilty?
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot watch the video and lie to God and say you are not guilty if you are guilty.
Well,
So,
if you did something wrong, you have to recognize, but there is a lot of people who don't recognize it.
well, because they do the things they do because they think they can do it and get away with it.
Mm.
There will be no consequences. So at the end of the day, when each and every one of us life has come to an end, it says, now before the judgment, your whole life history will be played in front of you like a video. And then at the end of the day, He will ask you, are you guilty or not guilty?
Well, you are guilty of this and this and this and this and this.
Well, you've seen it. I mean, if you take our forefather Abraham, when he went to Egypt with his wife Sarah, and because he feared for his life, he told Sarah, because they were half brother and half sister, because they were the same father but different mothers. So because he feared for his life, when they went to Egypt, he said to his wife Sarah, if Pharaoh asks you, tell Pharaoh that you are my sister, so that Pharaoh will not take my life. Which, from what he said, there was some truth in there, but it was a lie, because Sarah was not just his half sister, Sarah was his wife
As well.
So he should have been honest and told Pharaoh that this is my wife. But
But you can say I am sister and wife.
he could have, but he didn't want to say that, because they would have think, how can you marry your sister? So that was what he wanted to hide. So because he told Pharaoh that Sarah was his sister, and
She
Sarah,
did not lie. She said it's his sister, and it's true.
it's like half truth.
But he didn't say, are you his wife?
No, when Pharaoh asked him, he should have come up with because at the time they were like married. Yeah, so he should have said, oh, she's my wife.
If he asking, is she your wife?
Yes, but
he should have said yes.
But he told Sarah that if Pharaoh asks you, tell him that you are my sister.
Yeah, but if Pharaoh say, are you?
What is the relationship between you? What's the relationship between you two?
Well, he is my brother. I am his sister.
Yes, so
That's it.
because he said that, but Abraham, our forefather, told Sarah to say that. And because Sarah was being obedient, when Pharaoh asked her, she said, he is my brother. And because of that, And because Sarah was looking beautiful, Pharaoh took Sarah, wanting Sarah to become his wife. And this was where God intervened. And God made sure that Pharaoh could not marry her, or Pharaoh could sleep with her. Because God knew that both Abraham and Sarah are going to become the mother and father of his kingdom that he wanted to create and build. That through Abraham and Sarah is going to come Isaac. Yeah, and through Isaac will come Esau and Jacob. So God already had this plan already, even though Abraham and Sarah may not have known this. So God was protecting something that he has created. So when Pharaoh took Sarah from Abraham and kept her, wanting her to become his wife, God was ready to intervene to kill anybody that was going to go anywhere near Sarah. Yeah. So God knew Abraham haven't told Pharaoh the whole truth. So what God did was he let Pharaoh had a dream about Abraham and Sarah, that they were married. So when Pharaoh found out this truth, he gave Sarah back to Abraham and gave Abraham a lot of riches, gold, and possessions, and told Abraham and Sarah to leave Egypt. And that was where Hagar, the Egyptian, was given to Sarah to help Sarah with her, as like her maid. Yeah. And then through that, because Sarah was having difficulty to conceive, so he gave Hagar, her maid, to Abraham to have children with her. Because if your maid have a child for you with your husband, that child is seen and regarded as your own child. Because she's your maid belongs to you. And if she has a child, that child also belongs to you as well. So whatever your maid have, all belong to you. So because she couldn't have a child and she wanted Abraham to have a son, he gave Hagar to Abraham to lie with her, and she conceived and she had Ishmael. And then later on, God told them that Ishmael is not the promised child, that God himself is going to give them a child. But at that time, Abraham was coming up to be 100. Sarah was coming up to be like 99 years old. And they were thinking, how is God going to give us a child, at this late stage of our life?
Yes.
But with God, everything is possible. And after Ishmael was born, Sarah also became pregnant, and she had Isaac. Yeah, and from Isaac also came Ishmael and Jacob. Yeah, and then Jacob also went through his trouble, and then he went to marry Rachel, and he also had his 12 sons. And from the 12 sons came the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. So this is the foundation of the whole biblical foundation of how God's chosen children came to light. And from that, from the 12 tribes, also went to Egypt. The 12 brothers sold Jacob Joseph, not Jacob, Joseph, into slavery, because he was like the last born, and he was always boasting to his older brothers that he had a dream that his older brothers were bowing down to him and worshiping him. And in the Hebrew culture, they go from the oldest to the youngest. So all respect has to be given to the older brothers before the youngest children. So being the youngest brother who comes and tell them that I had a dream, I had a dream, and you, my older brothers, were bowing down to me. It's like a news that did not go down very well with the older brothers. It says, you are our younger brother. How
can I bow to
how
you?
can we be bowing down to you? But what he was telling them was in reference to Egypt, as to what was going to happen during the famine, whereby the whole world will lack food, and their only surviving country where they could go and get food was Egypt. And the vision he had was he would be in Egypt, and he will be the one who will be saving his brothers and his family during that 7 years of famine. And it all became true, that the brothers got angry and they sold him into slavery because they wanted to get rid of him, and took the money they sold him for to buy provisions for themselves and all the things that they needed. And while their brother was in Egypt as a slave, God was preparing him for the dream that he had. And so when the time came that Pharaoh had that dream, and he could not understand what that dream meant, that he had a dream whereby the cows were eating the small lean cows, as to what that dream meant. Then he brought all his advisors, and nobody could interpret what that dream meant. And all of a sudden, one of his 7 members recognized that there was Joseph, who was in prison, who could explain things of this nature. So Pharaoh said, go and bring him. So they brought him from prison. He had his wash and they dressed him up and everything. And then Pharaoh told him the dream. And Joseph said his God has given him the meaning of the dream, that there will be 7 years of plenty of food, and then there's also going to be 7 years of famine. So they need to prepare. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, since you have been able to interpret this dream of mine, I will put you in charge to make sure that during the 7 years we have plenty, we are able to store food. So when the 7 years of famine happens, we will be able to survive. So during that time process, this was when his family came from Israel to come and buy food. And when they came, they could not recognize their own brother because of the transformation that he has had from being in Egypt. So they could not recognize, but he could recognize them because they are his brothers and he knew them. Then when they came, they didn't come with their younger brother called Benjamin. So he tricked them and told them that he will give them the food they are looking for, but they need to go and bring their younger brother to Egypt called Benjamin. And the brothers were saying, if we bring our brother Benjamin, our father would probably pass out and die, because Benjamin is the only thing that he cherished and liked to have around him. But Joseph wanted to see his brother. So once he gave them the food, he did not let them pay for the food, but what he told his guard to do was to put his cup in one of the sacks of grain that they were taking with them. So while they were traveling back, he sent his guards to go and search for the cup. But the brothers didn't know that he has put or instructed his servant to put the cup in the grain, because the brothers were not aware of it. So while they were searching, they found the cup, and he said to them, why have you stolen the cup that belonged to Joseph, who has been kind to you and given you a grain and everything? So he said to them, I'm going to hold one of you as captain until you go and bring your brother Benjamin. And during that time, he told them they should bring their father as well, for their father to come and stay with him in Egypt as well during that 7 years of famine. Yeah, so that's how the whole family moved and migrated into Egypt, and he looked after his family. So the vision he had when he was a little boy, that all his brothers
became truth.
became truth. And that was when the brothers could realize what he was telling them whilst he was a little boy. Prophecy has been fulfilled. So when they went into Egypt, I think there was about 70 of them. But by the time God told Moses to bring them out, they have become like a multi-nation, over 2,000 plus people when they finally left Egypt. And that's how they migrated and became God's chosen people to this present day. So far, have you got anything that you want to add to it?
I knew everything that you're talking about. We call it differently.
Okay.
Because in a Spanish way, we say 7 years de la vaca, cow,
Yes.
fat cow,
Yes.
and 7 years of a slim cow.
Yes.
We call them las vacas gruesas, gordas, y las vacas delgadas. And I knew that from little, from a young girl. Of course, in English, it's differently.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, I understand everything.
Brilliant.
I know. The brother could have done the same. The brother could have looked when there was plentiful. They should have used it wisely, but they didn't. They just enjoy and careless about the future.
Yeah.
So when the time came that it was the fame, then they had nowhere to. They could not go back to repair the thing that they have done. So they went for the brother who was the wise man.
Yes.
Who
Brilliant.
was the one that did things properly.
Yes. But it was also all to do with God's prophecy. You know, sometimes when God is doing certain things in our lives, we cannot understand it, but it is a prophecy.
It is a prophecy.
Yeah, that God uses sometimes to wake us up. Because in the scriptures it says we have eyes,
but we cannot see.
but we cannot see. And when I used to hear this, I'm thinking, yes, I can see. I'm not blind.
Yeah, and you have ear, but you cannot hear.
I have ears.
And that is happening to me. I have eyes, but I cannot understand what I'm reading.
Yes, and sometimes we have ears, but it's like we hear something, but it go through one ear and come through the other ear because we cannot understand it.
You cannot storage it.
Yeah, we have eyes. Yeah, thank God we are not, born blind. Our eyes can see, but sometimes we can be in the same room and somebody who has eyes, who has been trained like a detective, will come into the same room where we are,
They can see.
and they can see certain things, whilst we have been in that same environment for years.
Yeah.
And we cannot see what he came in just 5 minutes.
Mm.
He can see all these things. And I'm thinking, how comes I didn't see?
It's like somebody I know
Yes.
that used to come to the house and go for months. And then one day asked me, where's the umbrella?
Which would be me. and he has been there all this while. And I'm walking past it day and night.
That happens. That happens.
And I'm walking past it every single day and night, and I'm still thinking, where is it?
There is things.
But a detective will come in straight away and he would have spotted it because his eyes has been trained to look for all these things. Just like God has blessed me with the eyes for me to go into the scriptures, and I'm able to read it, and I'm able to find things that when I show it to some people, they go, I've been reading this book for years.
They can know.
And I have never come across it. And it has been there all this while, but they've never come across it.
I know.
Yeah. So it happened to me. So it happens to most.
It happened to me that I want to learn so many things and I try so hard. And it doesn't matter how hard I try, I cannot digest it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes God has to send a helper to come and help you to be able to show you certain things.
Yeah. Then suddenly it clicked.
Yes.
And you said, it was here all the time and I could not see it.
Yes. And you're thinking, how come? How come he could be and I
What
couldn't?
can it be?
And one of the things I recall was Queen Sheba, a highly favored man who went to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover, and he was on his way going back to Ethiopia, and he was reading the book of Isaiah, and he could not understand it. And you're thinking, this man is highly educated, highly trained, highly official of Queen Sheba. How could he read this prophet Isaiah prophecy and not understand it? So the Holy Spirit told Philip to go and explain to him what he was reading. And as soon as Philip went and explained it to him, he said, how could I not understand it the way you are explaining it? So immediately after Philip explained it to him, they came across like a river. And he says, I want you, Philip, to baptize me. And immediately Philip baptized him. And as soon as he finished baptizing him, Philip disappeared in the spirit. And the Ethiopian man went back full of life, full of, spirit. That something that he was reading, which he was finding is so complicated, so difficult, is now very easy for him to now understand.
Mm.
Yeah, so most of the things we read in the scriptures, sometimes they have to be explained to us in order for us to be able to understand. Otherwise, we read it over and over and over and over and over, and we still don't understand it unless God sends somebody to come and explain it to us. And the moment they explain it, it all makes sense, and we are able to understand. So you did a book on Queen Sheba
I did.
and King David and
Yeah.
King Solomon.
I still working on it. Well, I mean, I already did it, but now I did it on poems of real life, but I want to do it now as a theater.
Okay.
King David and Solomon,
Yeah.
and let's see how it goes.
Okay. Brilliant.
Let's see how it goes. It look all right. It look nice.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a thick book because it's not a lot I have to put in there. And of course, theater, you don't really, it's not a long film.
Okay.
It's just a short. So let's see how it goes. I'm very happy about it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, there is a few things that you might have to help me.
No problem. So during your research in learning about Queen Sheba, King David, and King Solomon, how did you come about the concept of King Solomon, King David, and Sheba? What was your understanding of how they are all connected, even though Queen Sheba was from Ethiopia?
Yeah, but she was impressed me because in those times, a woman, that clever woman, and then she heard about
And she was
somebody who was very
she was a very powerful woman as well.
powerful man and also clever, and she decided she don't believe anybody else. She doesn't want to believe anything anybody. She has to see for herself.
Yes.
So she traveled and she went to see him. And when she came back, she said, he's a real
Yes. Yes.
man. He says, he's very good.
Because when she was in Ethiopia in her kingdom, she hear of Solomon's wisdom and knowledge and everything. And sometimes you hear something and you think, can this really be true?
Mm.
You know,
She could
sometimes, yeah, can he be as what I'm hearing? That she decided she will go and travel. And in those days, they didn't have like an aeroplane, so but you can just do 45 minutes journey to to Jerusalem and return back. You have to travel on foot. So they have to travel for days on foot. So on such a journey, you have to prepare
Yeah, come on. As
camel,
well, no?
horses, donkeys, whatever you are using on the travel, and you also have to take provisions for them. The food, the water, facilities you're going to need on your traveling journey, because it's not just going to be like a one night journey or on an aeroplane that you're going to be able to get there on time. So you have to travel with your bodyguards, your army, a whole lot of people to travel.
She has so much gold
Yeah, she
and
has to travel. Yeah,
so much of everything.
yeah. She traveled with spices, presents, and a whole lot of things. And it's like moving a whole people from Spain into England. Yeah, it's not going to be. It takes preparation, planning, to make sure, when even we're sending astronauts to the moon, we have to think of their food, how they're going to use their toiletries, and a whole lot of preparation that have to go in, and it takes months, if not years, to prepare.
They have to recycle.
They have to. So all this provision have to be taken into consideration, and make sure that they are able to travel without needing or lacking anything.
And with Solomon, apparently he had more gold than he can count sand.
Absolutely.
So I cannot understand it, how we should have been progressing, we should have been floating today.
But I see our current situation. We see our current situation as progress, which in a way we have made a lot of advances. But if we are to compare our current state of how we are now to the days of Sheba, Solomon, Moses, and all these people during those times, for me personally, I think we have not made that much progress, because the technology we are using today, they had it back then. Even if you take the pyramids built in Egypt today, up to present now, the scientists have not been able to discover how these pyramids came to be built, how they managed to put one stone on top of another, one stone on top of another, and built it. And they are still trying to figure out how they did it in those days. And they didn't have, in those days, they didn't have the facilities we have now. Now, when we are building houses, we have to use cranes and different type of machines to build a house. In those days, they didn't have those facilities, but yet they were able to build tall buildings without having those facilities we have now. The question then becomes, how did they do it? And to this present day, we have not still been able to figure out how they did it, which their technology they were using back then is still a mystery to us, and it still baffles us, because we still have not been able to figure out how they did it. With all our science and technology and everything, scientists are still trying to work out how even God created the world and all the things in the world.
Well, it's something that we're never going to.
Well, because we think we've got all the technology. We can send people to the moon, we can send satellites to space and all these kind of things. But still, we still have not been able to figure out how God created the world and the universe, and how even the planet Earth that we live in is not sitting on the ground, it is hovering. And God has created so many different planets. The Earth planet is one of them, which is being hovering. It is not being held by anything. And they are so trying to figure out what kind of gravity God has used to hold the planet Earth, that it is not falling and it is not going up, but it's like stable.
Stay the way.
It's stable where it is, and he has been able, something that is hovering. It is not sitting on the ground, but yet he's able to sustain us and the life that he put into it, that he's able to flood it when he wants to flood it, without it over flooding the planet Earth that he has created. We have tsunamis, we have rains, and a whole lot of things that he has created that we still yet to come to understanding of it. And one of the scriptures, he says we are like very tiny in his palm. So if you can imagine, all the things in the world are just tiny in his palm. So we are just a tiny little dot in his palm. But sometimes we think we can be more clever than him, and be more wise than him, and be more, smart than him. This is our human logic and thinking, that somehow we can outsmart him who created us.
No me.
Brilliant. Neither I.
No me.
You know,
I know that there is something very, very, very,
bigger than us.
a lot.
A lot bigger than us. But our human knowledge somehow think, because he created us in his image, we think that we can somehow be able to outsmart him.
No, I just ask him all the time to be my Messiah and to
Brilliant.
help me,
Absolutely.
because I won't be able to do it by myself.
Absolutely. Neither could I.
No.
Neither could I. I mean, this journey that I am on, I couldn't have got here without help. And God will always send the right people to come and help.
In the right time.
Yeah, there will be people who will come, who want to come and take. That is their mission. But God will always send the genuine people to come and help on the journey. Just like when Christ came, he chose his 12 apostles and disciples to help him. And from the 12 apostles, he also chose more disciples, who became like 72 of them. So he started off with 12, and then they multiplied and became 72. Yeah. So even he is the Son of God, you will assume he'll be able to do everything by himself. But when he came, he needed help and our support in achieving his mission. So in terms of whatever we are doing, we will be able to achieve and do what we are doing in accordance with God's requirement. But along the journey, we will need help and support on our journey. And God will bring in the right people, who will come and help. At the same time, we have to be vigilant for those who are only just coming, not to help, but to take. And this is where we need sharp eyes to be able to discern who have genuinely come to help and who have genuinely come to take. Yeah, in order to fulfill God's mission.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So far, is there anything that you want to add to your understanding of what we've discussed so far?
To my understanding, I don't know. It's so much. It's difficult to pick up one out of millions.
Millions, yes. Yes. So from what we've discussed so far, do you now see the church and what the church is doing as doing things that pleases God, from what you've learned and discovered and heard so far?
From what along and I discovered so far, I think God is within us, and for God is everywhere. And I don't go to church.
Okay.
I don't practice.
Okay.
Because I also, yes, I visit this church as if it was a museum.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of art in there. But I don't see the meaning of praying to a wood figure, decorated with diamonds and expensive things that other people need.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that could be the treasure of the country because the amount of money that the church have is belong to the country.
Yeah.
But that's why I believe in having God by my side everywhere I am and in every occasion. And I do believe that God is helping me.
Brilliant.
Yeah. This is, I compare it to the Ten Commandments
Yeah.
when Moses went up to the mountain and the people was creating already a figure,
The cow. Yeah.
a gold cow. They
Golden cow.
melted all the jewelry and all the things
Yep.
to become a symbol, to adore it. God, you didn't even see God because not even Moses saw God when he went up to the mountain. When he was writing the Ten Commandments, it was fire.
Yeah.
It was a flash of
Yeah.
fire. Everything that was written.
Yeah.
Not even Moses saw God. How come people on the ground do whatever they like, think as they enjoy without thinking whether they are doing good or bad, and preparing something to adore? You don't know Jesus, you don't know God, and yes, you're adoring a cow, a gold cow. I cannot understand that. So, yes, I go to a church and I see very good art because the people that made the Virgin, and they are beautiful. They are beautiful, and they are hundreds of years. So you can show that as an exhibition, but not as adoring, pray, and ever so often go and kiss the hands. Somebody have to keep them. Even in the COVID time, when you're supposed to keep away, you go to the church and you kiss the hand one person after the other, and every time one kiss, there was somebody to
Saliva left behind.
that clean with a cloth that before the other one kiss as well. But we are already protecting ourselves from the COVID, and you are getting yourself into the church and kissing the same hand, which is only a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Engraved.
Yeah.
I don't know, but when I was a little girl, I used to have a saint, a figure belonged to me, and I used to go to the church for the priest to
bless it.
to bless him.
Yes.
So I grow in a Catholic because in Seville we are very, very religious, every single one of us.
Yeah.
Very religious. But me being in another country now, when I go back,
Yeah.
I can see these things. I can see that the church is very rich and there is a lot of people who need help.
Brilliant. So now, what you just said regarding the Israelites in the wilderness, And when God called Moses to bring the 2 tablets, plain tablets, that was what, because God was going to write on the tablets, but he wanted Moses to bring those 2 plain tablets to him, which Moses did. So whilst Moses was gone, and he wasn't gone for one day, he was on the mountain with God for 40 days and 40 nights. So whilst he was up there for 40 days and 40 nights,
everybody was enjoying downstairs, down on the ground.
They were asking Moses' brother Aaron that his brother Moses has gone up the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Nobody knows what has happened to him. For all we know, he could be dead.
They're not going to come back.
Yeah, that's why he has not come back. And since we came out of Egypt, because in Egypt, while they were there for 430 years, they were seeing the cows, because the Egyptians were like idol worshippers. So they created cows and all these statues that they were worshipping. So when they left Egypt, they still have that vision in their mind, that they couldn't worship God in spirit and in truth. So they needed something that they could go to and worship as a representation, which is what the Catholic Church is also doing likewise up to today. They have statues that dress it in gold with, diamonds and gold and ornaments, that you think if this gold and diamond is sold, the money could be given to the poor, the widow, the orphanages, and all these things. But they rather decorate the statue with it. So what was happening in the wilderness is still what is happening today. And God said we must worship him, because God said he's spirit. Therefore, we must worship him in spirit and in truth, which means we don't need no statues, we don't need no idols to go and worship. If you want to pray to God, you just go to your bedroom, close the door, and say your prayers to him.
You don't have to close the door or anything. You just
It says
kneel down and pray to him.
you can kneel down and pray, but in the scriptures it says, if you, before you pray, where you go to your private chamber and you close the door. Close the door, and then you say your prayers, whatever you want to tell God, you say your prayers to God. So that is what God has ordained for us to do. We don't need no statues.
Okay, when I pray to God, I pray to God, him and I.
Yes.
I don't call a crowd.
Yes.
To see that I am, which what we are doing. And when we go to church, we are many of us.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with us coming together and praying together, because Christ often prayed with his disciples, and sometimes he goes up to the mountain and pray by himself. So praying together and prayer is a very powerful thing, whereby when you come together and you pray together, it's a very powerful thing, because you are all agreeing together. Pray, yes. But when you want to pray alone, God says, go to your private room, close the door, your private chamber, close the door, and then say your prayers to him, whatever it is in your heart you want to communicate with him about, to pray to him. But the people always felt that they always needed something to be as representation. They could not pray to God without having some sort of representation. And because they put so much pressure on Moses' brother Aaron agreed for them to bring the gold they came out of Egypt with.
Are you all right?
He said, children, I told them not to call during this time until after 12:30, but they still won't listen. Yeah. So they always felt like they needed a representation, before they can pray. And by so doing, we are not worshiping the true God, but instead we are worshiping some sort of like an idol. Instead of worshiping God, we are worshiping an idol. And God is not an idol for us to be worshiping him through an idol. God says we must worship him in truth, in spirit, because God is spirit. So when Moses was gone for 40 days and 40 nights, the people thought, Moses was not coming back. Therefore, we must have an idol that we can worship God through. And they brought everybody brought the gold they had with them that they came out of Egypt with. And Moses, brother Aaron, melted the gold and then used it to carve the cow, which they had knowledge of from Egypt, and basically started to worship it. And after the 40 days and 40 nights, when God has written on the 2 tablets for Moses the 10 commandments, he told Moses to hurry back down to go and see what the people have been doing at his absence. And so when he came back down, he said to them, those who want to be on God's side should come to him, and those who wanted to worship the idols should stay on the other side. So during this time, Conchi, do you know what happened after that event when Moses came back down? Do you know what happened?
Oh, the most of the people went to him.
Yes. And the remaining people that did not go to him, do you know what happened to them?
I don't know. I think they disappeared. I mean, because he went back to his wife.
Yeah. So the people that still believe in
and then
God,
he gave a mission to the wife to look after, and then he went by himself to pray.
Yeah. So let me clarify what happened. So when Moses came back with the 10 commandments, he told the people that still believe in God to come to his side.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones who were still not believing in Moses to remain on the other side. And during that process, God split the ground open, and 3,000 men and women and their children went into the ground, and God closed the ground up. So it's like became like an earthquake.
Like
Yeah, God buried them alive because God knew these people were going to be nothing but to give problems. So this is what happened. So in the wilderness, 3,000 of them in one day, God buried them because of them being disobedient. So God had to bury them. And that's what happened because God could not deal with these people because it's like they've already crossed the line that they should not have crossed. Then they were going to be nothing more than become a problem for God's kingdom. And sometimes some of us human beings, we tend to cross a line that we should not cross. Then that when we cross that line, it then becomes a problem whereby there's no way of return back to us because we cross certain lines we are not supposed,
we're not supposed
to cross. Certain boundaries we are not supposed to cross, and one of them is the scriptures, Bible, because what prophet Apostle Pawlos said was, if you are ignorant, God deals with you because you are ignorant. But when you then know the truth and you are no longer ignorant,
and you're doing it,
and you are still doing the same ignorant things, Paul says, by that time you have crossed the boundary. And at that time, there's no more salvation for you because you are no longer ignorant.
you're consciously know what you're doing.
You know what you are doing, and you deliberate. So, for example, if you don't know sleeping with somebody's wife, sleeping with somebody's husband is wrong because you are ignorant, and you are educated, and you are told God hates this behavior. Therefore, do not do it anymore. And you think, no, even though I know the truth now, I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I will still go ahead and practice these things, which God hates. That point, Paul is saying you have crossed the line. And therefore, there's no more salvation for you. Then this is where a lot of people in Christianity don't understand. They assume Christ came and died on the cross for us so that we can carry
You can carry on doing wrong things all the time.
Doing the same thing that we have been doing. But no.
And he came to this world to save us.
To save us. Not to be repeating the same thing again. The same thing he told the woman in the adultery, go and do it no more. He did not give her the license to go and practice it. But this is where sometimes we cross the line. Because when you know the right thing and you still carry on like you are still ignorant and doing it because maybe you get pleasure out of it or you get some sort of satisfaction out of it, and you know God hates these things that you are doing, then Paul says you have crossed the line. And at that point, no excuse you're going to give to God, nothing you're going to tell God is going to make him change his mind.
Yeah, once you open your eyes, then you can see, you cannot trust the person any longer.
That's what I'm saying.
And that happened today as well.
Yes. So God knows when you are being ignorant, and he also knows when you know the truth, but you can continue to do
the same thing.
So at that point, the salvation that Christ came for, to die for, no longer covers you. Because he did not come to die so that you can carry on doing the same thing. No, he came to grant you salvation. And the purpose of the salvation is when you are no longer ignorant, that means that salvation covers you. But when you carry on not being ignorant and carry on doing the same thing over and over.
That applies to everything today. I mean, when you start the business, you don't know, and you don't start the business. But when you start to know a little bit of something, oh, I can do that. And then you build the business.
That's right.
And then you grow. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So certain lines, we are not meant to cross. Now, sometimes we cross them due to us being ignorant, which is fine. Because at one point, myself, everybody.
We are born, no, we are born innocent.
Yes. But when you know the truth and you know the right thing and you are not doing it, then Paul says there's no more salvation for you.
Mm-hmm.
But in Christ, coming, life, death, resurrection, salvation no longer covers you. And then you can keep on deceiving yourself to say, oh, Christ came to die for me and Christ came to die. No. That the moment you cross the line, Paul says that's it. Because that line you should not have crossed. You can cross it due to ignorance, which is fine, because we all sometimes don't.
Yeah, you don't know if you are innocent about that.
Yeah. But the moment
you didn't know what you was doing, then obviously he didn't know what he was doing.
Exactly. So
But
the moment you are told sleeping with somebody's wife, sleeping with somebody's husband, it's a sin against God. You repent, you ask God to forgive you like God forgave King David, him sleeping with somebody's wife, and have Uriah put to the front of the battle so that he can be killed, which is King Solomon's mother, because he found her attractive. He saw her bathing in the roof, on top of the roof, and he asked his bodyguards to go and bring her because he found her attractive, and he started sleeping with her. And then he found out that he was one of his soldiers' wife. So he asked for Uriah to come back from the front line so that he can come and sleep with his wife to cover up the pregnancy. And when he came, he says, how can I go and sleep in my bed with my wife when my colleagues are at the front line fighting fighting a battle? So he didn't go home to sleep with his wife. He slept on the bench outside. And when King David found out that Uriah hasn't gone home to sleep with his wife, he wrote a letter and asked him to go and give to the commander. And him being obedient, he did not read what it was written in the letter. He just went and said, King David said, I should give you this letter. And in that letter said that the commander should put him at the front line where he can easily killed because of what King David was doing with his wife. So the commander put him at the front line and was killed, which then brought, God said, that child that you have conceived with somebody's wife, child cannot live because you did not conceive that child in an appropriate manner. So that child, God killed that child. And then King David then married her because her husband was killed.
no, she's a widow now.
She became a widow, so King David married her. But during all this time, God sent a prophet to King David to tell him about what he has done. But he didn't tell him straight away. He told him like in a parable. He says, in your kingdom, there was a man who has everything. And there was this man who had only one wife. And this man who has everything
took his wife as well.
Took his wife as well.
I'm getting killed.
And got the husband killed. And King David went angry. But he did not know the prophet was talking about him. So he said, where is that man who did this thing in my kingdom? Go and bring him so that I can deal with him. How could he do such a thing? Blah, 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 blah. And as soon as he finished saying all that, the prophet said, "Shoot." And he became so remorseful and repented. And he asked God to forgive him. He has crossed the line, but God forgave him because God saw the truthness of his heart. Because God said that King David was a man after his own heart, God heart. So God knew when somebody is being genuine, when they ask for forgiveness, and God knows when somebody is just pretending, pretending to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, God can see everything.
The moment you forgive them, they go back and do exactly the same thing and again and again and again. So then King David married Bathsheba, and then Bathsheba then became the mother of King Solomon. Because he married her in a proper way, because you are allowed to marry a widow.
Yeah.
So because he married her, he became the mother of King Solomon. And King David wanted to build the temple for God. And God said, no, because you got too much blood
in your
hands. You cannot build the temple. So that became the punishment God gave him for doing what he did, for crossing that line. Because it was King David's dream that he wanted to build this temple. But God said, no, your son is going to build, your son Solomon is going to build it, but not you. This is how God rejected him. Yeah. So we get punishment for the things that we do, but when God knows genuinely you are doing something out of ignorance, and he sees genuinely in your heart that you have repented and you don't go and do the same thing anymore, he forgives you because he knows you are being genuine. But some people ask for repentance, forgiveness, and as soon as they get the opportunity, they go back and do exactly
and do it again.
Do the same thing. And Paul said, the moment you do that, you have crossed the line. That salvation of Christ no longer applies to you. So you can deceive yourself, oh, I'm saved by the blood of Jesus, I'm saved by the blood of Yeshua. You are not. Because you have already crossed the line, which you should not have crossed. So that salvation Christ came and brought no longer applied to you. Does not cover you. So this is the lessons that we need to be learning and the lessons that we need to take on board. So when we repent from something, it means we don't go back and do the same thing.
We don't do the same thing again.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this is most of the things that we need to become conscious of and learn from. No one is perfect. From our forefather.
No.
From our forefather Abraham.
No, if God make every one of us perfect, it will be a very boring life.
But our challenge should be we need to, even though we are not, that is what it's like. That becomes our target. That I want to become.
It would be lovely if we were all the same, and nobody one what the other one, and everybody enjoy what the other one enjoy. It would be fantastic.
Because God said, Abraham walked before him, and he was perfect. Now you and I know Abraham was telling lies. Even before Egypt, when he was with his father, he went to because his father was an idol worshiper. He had the statues that he was always praying to and worshiping, like we have them in the Catholic churches. And one day his father went out, and by the time he came, he has used like a baseball bat to broken all his father's idols that he was worshiping. Then he put the baseball bat in one of the idol's hand to make it look like it was the idol that has gone around smashing the idols that his father was worshiping. So when his father came and he went to the place where he's got the idols and said to Abraham, who did this? And he says, can't you see the bat in one of the idols? And how can a statue that don't eat, that don't drink, that don't move, but has a baseball bat in his hand,
Well, he did
go around? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. His lies, he was telling the lies from not when he got to Egypt, he was telling the lies before. Yeah, so when he went to Egypt and he told his sister to say he was my sister, it was something he was already practicing a long time ago. And he was, but God was still saying Abraham was walking before him and he was still perfect. And you're thinking, how can such a person be perfect? From early age, he's telling lies. When he breaks things, he didn't say, oh, Dad, I broke your idols. But he says, it was one of your idols that did it.
I know.
Yeah. So none of us are perfect, but our goal is to strive to become perfect. That does not mean we are going to one day become perfect. No. But it is our goal to try and strive to become perfect. And that is what we're supposed to be always trying to achieve. So if you do something wrong, you try and ask for forgiveness to try and correct it. That hopefully, bit by bit, little by little, you will not look back on doing these things again, and so you move and you've made progress. So if you look at how God has dealt with us in the past, He gave us 613 commandments. We couldn't do them. So then He gave to Moses 10. So from 613 to 10, you think surely this should be an easy thing for us to do. That no problem, that no difficulty. Still, we couldn't do it. So then God has reduced it to 2. One, which is in the book of Ecclesiastes 13, verse 12, says, this is the conclusion of the matter, and this is the whole duty of man, to fear God and to keep His commandments. Only 2. And even these 2, we still have a problem.
I know.
So from 613 to 10 to 2, and we still have a problem, then we have got a real problem. Because if we cannot keep just 2, then what is our purpose in life? Yeah, how many discounts do we need from God to be able to do what He wants us to do? 630 we can't do. It's too many, too much. Okay, 10. That 2 we can't do. Then 2. And the 2 we can't do. So what can we do? 0. That, to me, that's just crazy. Because 2, it shouldn't, even a newborn baby should be able to do that.
I know.
To fear God and to keep His commandment. A newborn baby should be able to do it. How much more we adults? That we have a problem. Which tells me how much serious problem and trouble we are in. Because if we cannot do 2, how can we do 10? And if we cannot do 10, how can we do 613? But this is what people think, oh, the 613 is abolished, the 10 is abolished, and the 2 may have to be abolished. But no, because, like a baby, when the baby is born, you cannot start feeding them with solid food. So they have to drink milk. So the 2.
And you're not supposed to give them when they are baby, when they are
little,
until certain age, honey.
Exactly.
They should not give them.
Yeah. So the milk is supposed to be the 2, because God.
The mother milk is the best one.
Yes. So God has to grow us in our spiritual maturity. So He starts us off with 2. So as we are growing, we should be progressing from the 2 to be able to do the 10. And as we are growing, we should be able to start doing what was in the 613 as we are progressing. But if we cannot do 2, that means we cannot do 10. That means we cannot do the 613.
Awesome.
So then, where is our progress in our journey? Because our goal is to be able to do all the 613 at the end of the day. But God has started us with 2. So once we are able to practice the 2 and do the 2, then we should be able to do the 10. And then from the 10, we should be progressing to try to do the 613. But if we are stuck at the 2,
how can
we progress? We cannot progress. So this is our human dilemma and our relationship with God. But some people will tell us, oh, the commandments is abolished because that way they get the license to do as they like, as they please. Because if the the Ten Commandments is abolished, means we don't have to do them.
Yeah, we don't have any. Nobody is telling us to do it.
Well, that's how they want to get around it. That's how they want to get around it, by saying the Ten Commandments is abolished. So that way.
I don't think the Ten Commandments is abolished. It's a very important thing.
But that's how they want to get around it. That's how they want to get around it, by saying the Ten Commandments is abolished. So that way you don't have to do them.
It's a beautiful film in there.
Yes.
Of the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, with Moses and the children of Israel. Yeah. And some of the hearings I've heard is that some of them say when Christ died on the cross, he also nailed the Ten Commandments to the cross. And when the question I ask is, when did Christ came from the cross, took the Ten Commandments, which was in the Ark of the Covenant, the tablet, the two tablets, went to the top of the cross, nailed it on the cross, and then said to the Roman soldiers, now you can nail me to the cross. Where did Christ did that? But this is what some of the pastors are telling the church members, that when Christ died on the cross, he also nailed the Ten Commandments to the cross. Where is the evidence? Where is the proof? So that way they can tell the church members, oh, you don't need to do the Ten Commandments because that is abolished.
No, there is on the top,
yeah.
but there is, I cannot understand
the
meaning of.
Because Christ said to,
It's in.
it's in Hebrew. He cried before Christ died. He said to Pontius Pilato, that he is the king of the Jews. So
Pontius Pilato, the king of the Jews.
So he told him, are you the king of the Jews? And Christ said, yes, he is the king of the Jews. So above his head, they wrote it in Hebrew and in Greek that Christ is the king of the Jews. That was what was written above his head. Christ is the king of the Jews, not the Ten Commandments is abolished. Yeah. So and that is still proof that Christ is still the king of the Jews, because it says he is the king of the kings and he is the Lord of the Lord. So he's king of the kings and he's Adonai of the Adonai, which means Lord of the Lord. Yeah. So not what the pastors are teaching. They are just telling a whole pack of lies. Because what was written, and the Pharisees wanted that change above his head. And Pontius Pilate said, that is what it's going to be. He is the king of the kings, or he is the king of the Jews.
Pontius Pilato didn't want, he washed his hand.
Yep.
Because it was
Barabbas
and Jesus.
And Christ. And during
they knew it was good.
During Passover, they always release somebody for the Jews to celebrate their festival with.
So they released one.
So
and they wanted the
public. At that time they had Barabbas
and Jesus in front of.
Now, Barabbas was a murderer.
Yeah,
He had killed somebody.
He was a bad one.
He went to prison for that. But Christ had not done anything wrong.
Christ was a good man.
But the Pharisees wanted to get rid of him because he was always criticizing them.
They put the two of them in front of the people.
Yes.
And the people say Barabbas.
The Pharisees told the people, when Pontius Pilate asks you, which of the two do you want to be released for you to celebrate your Passover? They should say Barabbas. Now, if normally you have someone who's murderer and someone who hasn't committed no sin, out of these two people, in reality, whom would you want to be released?
The one that is a good person.
That's the one who's a good person. But the Pharisees wanted Barabbas released and for Christ to be crucified because Christ was always challenging what they were teaching the people. They have turned God's book into a business. During Passover, they will tell somebody, your animal is not fit for sacrifice. But then that same animal they took from you, they would sell it to somebody else. So it was money coming in.
It's business.
It's business. And Christ was saying, you cannot be doing this. And the Pharisees did not like it. So they have to find a way to get rid of him. Yes. And one of the way was to have Christ crucified. So during when Christ being crucified, they were all waiting for the news to hear that he is dead on the cross. So they were waiting at the building called the Sandringham building. So whilst they were waiting, Christ said to his Father, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And God ignored Christ. And the moment Christ said, it is finished, God caused an earthquake. The building they used to the building to find Christ guilty collapsed. And all the Pharisees and the scribes, they were all waiting in the building, and the whole building collapsed upon them, and not one of them got out.
No, but there was the soldier that killed Jesus.
Yeah, they were on the Calvary. So
he said he is really
the Son of God.
the Son of God.
Yeah. Yeah. So even the Romans,
but it was too late already.
It was too late, you know. And all the Pharisees, God killed them. He collapsed the whole building on top of them, and not one of them managed to escape. Brilliant. So how do you find today's lessons?
Very good. I mean, I like to listen. I like to see films of, I keep on, every time I see a film that has to do with Christ, I always watch it because I love it. I love to listen about these type of things.
Brilliant.
Mm.
Okay, our 2-hour session is upon us. And I thank God that He has led us through this lesson. And hopefully we've learned.
Vicky didn't come in.
No.
Okay. At least I'm expecting her to be in it.
No. It's for those who attend. And in Matthew 24, Christ says, many of us will be called, but He's only going to choose few. Yeah? And you're going to have some Israelites who should be coming and have not come, are going to get angry and say, oh, how comes I cannot enter into God's kingdom? But when He was calling, He didn't come. The same thing happened in the days of Noah. And God said, as it was at the beginning, so it shall be at the end. He will be calling and calling and calling and calling, and they will not come. But then when the floods come,
Repeating.
I know. When the floods come, that's when they will come and start knocking.
This one is a stop.
Is it? No, that's not.
Yeah, no, it's no.
Okay, it's frozen.
It's frozen.
Yeah. So God has already told us, as it was at the beginning, it will be the same at the end. So don't expect the end to be different. God will be calling, but people will be still going to the church and doing the church things, following their pastors, following. Yeah, they will not come. Christ will be calling, they will not come. And then they are going to get angry. When they see you in God's kingdom, they're going to say, how did Conchi manage to get in here? Because when God was calling, you came. You didn't come. And they're going to be angry. And they say, no, but I should be there. Conchi should be out. And God said, no. When I was calling, Conchi came. You did not come. And they're going to be angry. The days of Noah, the people were angry, knocking the boat, Noah to let them in. But it was too late. So when you listen to God's words, as it was in the days of Noah, it is also going to be the same at the end. Because today, God has called them, but they are busy doing shopping, doing their Facebook, doing whatever
they want to do.
Whatever they want to. It was exactly the same thing in the days of Noah. Nothing has changed. And out of the thousands and millions of people on the planet Earth, even the animals were listening. They went in. How much more human beings? And out of all the millions of people, only 8 people. And I've called them, but at the moment their salvation means very little to them until they see the floods coming. So we say a prayer and finish. Abba, Father, we thank you for this day and giving us the opportunity to go through your word in various ways. We thank for the edification and the enlightenment that we have received. We go on to pray that you will continue to bless us, to open our eyes, spiritual eyes, to open our spiritual mind, to open our spiritual heart to receive your word. I pray and ask of this through your beloved Son, Yeshua, who reigns with you, one God, forever and ever. Amen.